Hello beautiful friends, I am here today with another project to share with you for the Cut to You design team. I have this photo of my husband and I, which was from a photo shoot that we had prior to our wedding in 2019. And the cut file that I'm using today is called Valentine. It's actually one of the Kit to You products, which is a fantastic option that Gwen from Cut to You offers. If you're not familiar with the Kit to You product line, I will add a link in my description box below, as well as onto this video, to a previous process video where I go through one of the Kit to You products and just give you lots of detail about what it includes and how you can use them. But for today's layout, I'm using the cut file in a different way to what was included in the PDF kit instructions. And I have been challenged to use some black cardstock. So I've cut that file out from some black cardstock, and off camera I've backed it with some pattern paper and some gold glitter cardstock. Now the products that I'm using for this project today are entirely from my stash. They are quite old. They're from crepe paper from a couple of their previous Valentine's or love themed lines, and I have a box of supplies that they're all Valentine or loved themed, and I thought I would break those out given that this is a love themed layout and February is the month of Valentine's Day. So I've picked out a few of these pattern papers, and I did have a pretty clear idea in my mind of how I wanted the design to go. And my original plan was to have this big thick piece of layered patterned paper with torn edges across the top of my page, and then to have some mixed media coming out from underneath it. But on the day that I was creating this project and filming this video, my creative mojo was just not there, and I have to be honest, this was a layout that was really hard to finish. It's quite simple in design and the end product looks great, but it's something that I had to walk away from a few times because, yeah, on this day it just wasn't happening. So the mixed media background that I had planned, when I sat down and I tried to get something that I was happy with, it didn't work. So I scratched that idea and went back to just some plain white cardstock, which you'll see me come back and adjust my design in just a moment. But for now, I'm trimming down my photos. So I almost always print my photos a little bit smaller than 4x6. And the reason that I do that is because I like to add a white border. Now I know I could save myself some time, as many people do, and use the photo paper to provide me with that white border. But I like the added layer of, I prefer the added layer of having the matte. So it's the same effect, but it's just slightly more interesting to me visually than having just the plain photo paper. So that's why I matte my photos onto white cardstock instead of just saving some time and doing the white border when I print my photos. So I've also added another piece of pattern paper behind this photo. I've left that torn edge there, which was left over from when I tore the strips for the top, just for some extra texture. And I've roughed up the edges using my distressing tool. And now I'm going to come in with this softer pink pattern paper, which I think is from Echo Park. Again, it's a really old paper. Everything that I have in that little box of Valentine's themed products are quite old. So this, yeah, we're probably talking 6 years old, I guess, if I was to have a guess. So I ended up getting some glue on my photo, and off camera I went back and reprinted it. Okay, so now I'm back in and I've got my white cardstock, and I have already run it through my sewing machine with some bright pink thread, and I've double stitched the border there. And then I realized that because I wasn't doing the mixed media that I had planned, I was going to have to change my design up a little bit. So I've trimmed down that photo layer, and then to save you the tediousness of watching me tear the rest of those strips apart carefully, because I only have one piece of each of these pattern papers, I didn't want to waste any more by tossing some out and then recutting more pieces. So I've repurposed what I've cut from the top, and I'm just going to use it to create a smaller layered strip at the bottom of the layout here. So you can see that when I've taken them apart, some of them are torn. So you can see that piece there has got the white from the paper that was stuck to it that's still adhered to it, but I make it work by making sure that I'm layering them up in such a way that those torn pieces and that white paper strip there is covered. So that was good. That worked well. I was able to recover my design without wasting any extra paper. The only thing that is giving me a little bit of pause at the moment, and I think it's probably part of the reason why I really struggled to finish this layout off, is that in that top strip of torn paper now, the bright pink, that it's a really large piece of the bright pink, and I tried to lift it up so that I could make that whole piece a little bit smaller, but the exo patterned paper, that bright pink was stuck really hard to that exo patterned paper, so I couldn't tear the bright pink off without tearing the paper underneath, if that makes sense. So I have to try and work with it as it is. Now I have got a different design in mind, but it's something that I'm going with. And I've pulled out some tulle, so it just looked a little bit plain. Having the photo and that cut file against the white background, it really wasn't doing it. There wasn't enough visual interest. It was missing some layers, it was missing some texture. I knew I didn't want to go back to trying some mixed media because it just wasn't working for me on this day, so I thought I would bring out some tulle. This is something that I have in my box of textured elements, and I'm just using my long arm stapler because what I'm doing is I'm bunching up each of the sides, knowing that my photo and my cut file are going to cover up the staples, and once I'm happy with how it's bunched up, then I add the staple and it's all stuck in place really nicely. Again, I apologize for the back of my head there. It's something I am trying to be a little bit more mindful of, but still, yeah, it's hard because I don't look up when I'm crafting, as many of us won't. And my room is really quite small, so I don't have a lot of space to be able to move my camera around to another position. So it's something that I just have to try and be mindful of, and I do apologize that you do see the back of my head sometimes in my videos. So I'm using some 450 glue here because it is that little bit thicker than my usual Art Institute glitter glue. And after fussing with that bottle that I've had for quite a while, I came to the conclusion that although there was still glue in it, it was quite hard. And lo and behold, brand new bottle, and that glue just came flowing out of it. So behind my photo layer, I have added some thick cardboard, which is just left over from some packaging, to give it some dimension, and I glued my cut file down off camera just to save you from having to see that. Then you've seen me go and tear some of that bright pink off because it just, yeah, like I said, it just wasn't working. I didn't want to tear any more of the exo paper off because then that would have the layout really be off balance. So we've jumped around a bit here because, like I said, this was a really hard layout for me to finish, and I did have to walk away from it quite a few times. So there was a little bit of stop-start on my camera. But now I am here and I'm ready to do some embellishing. I'm not going to do a huge amount of embellishing, and I really ummed and ahed about where to place my embellishment clusters, and I stick with the visual triangle, the rule of 3. So I'm going to have one just to the left of my photo, one to the top right of the page, and one to the bottom right of the page to create that triangle moving your eye around the page. And I'm keeping it fairly simple. I've got some chipboard pieces and a few die cut pieces which have come from the random bits of embellishments that I have in my little Valentine's or loved themed kit, I guess you could call it, for want of a better word. One thing I did struggle with these embellishments, some of the older, I'm not sure if you are familiar with some of the older crepe paper lines, but the embellishments are very, very themey, and they're quite difficult to use. So lots of repetitive Valentines, lots of repetitive loves and loves yous, love and love yous, not a lot of really generic usable icons or embellishment pieces. So I might have to have a think about how I can build that Valentine's kit out so that I can make use of what I have left, because without embellishments I'm finding that my papers aren't really all that much use to me. And I think this is just about the finishing touches here. So I've grabbed out some gold glitter hearts that I have, they're tiny hearts that I have cut already already cut with my manual die cutting machine, and they sit in a bowl just near where I craft. I use them a lot for my project life layouts, and today I thought they'd be a good way to finish off this layout. So once I'm finished sticking those little hearts down, that will be it for this layout. If you are new to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you can join me for any upcoming videos that I have. If you have been with me for a little while, thank you as always for all of your support. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment and let me know what you think. All the engagement that I get with my channel does really help me to build and grow. So there's some close-up photos coming in just a moment, but as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.